Today we're going to be changing the brake caliper and rotor on a 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix. Now we've already changed the other side. If you see my prior video, we've actually changed the bearing on this side, so I'm not anticipating any real problems getting this brake stuff off. So first thing we're going to do is take the wheel and get it off the car. We've already securely lifted the car up on both sides. We've got jack stands and blocks, so she's not going anywhere. Now we're going to take the wheel off. Okay, now that we have the wheel off, next part's going to be free up 3 bolts. We have 2 bolts that are holding on our caliper, plus we have our brake line that's going in here. The brake caliper is actually a 1/2 inch, and the brake hose is a 7/16. So we're going to go ahead and break all 3 of them, take the brake line off, and pull the caliper off. We're going to need to reuse all 3 bolts, and this one especially. It's going to have 2 copper gaskets on it, and it's going to leak. So I'll put this in our parts box, get the line out of the way. And then we'll finish taking off the caliper. Now that I have the 2 bolts off, the caliper should come off relatively easy since we just had it off. And it has, and you can see where our brake hose connection was, our bleeder, and other parts. And then since we also had this rotor just off, it should come off. You may have to use a hammer. This one's pretty good. Sometimes you have to use a hammer to pound it off, but this is our parking brake right here. This is our brand new bearing, which we've done a while ago. So now we're going to go ahead and start installing new parts.
So what we have here is the old rusty rotor off of my car, and what we're going to be replacing it with, which is a brand new shiny one, which has had the black paint applied in the center and actually all the way around the rim. Any place that it's really rusty on the one that came off. And same with calipers, the nasty rusty one that came off, and the new one with the black paint, which we then loaded with the brake pads.
Next we're going to install the rotor. It should slip right over the brake. Wiggle it. Spin it. Should be free. That means we're just right on the adjustment of the park brake. Next goes the caliper. Okay. Next we're going to install the caliper. It should slide over the rotor. Sometimes it's a little tight. In some cases you have to use a hammer. Other times just some swift hitting will do. Okay, put the new rotor back on. Fits over the brake drum fine. The caliper, what we did is preloaded. There's a brake pad on each side. It includes a little spring that mounts the pad on there. We mounted it on there. We actually had to take the entire caliper assembly apart and kind of work the grease a little bit because it wouldn't open up enough for our new rotor. But we took it apart, put it back together. It works fine now. Now we're going to bolt it in, and then we're going to get very ready to connect our hose connection again. Next we need to make our hose connection, and it includes a special bolt. It's got a hole in the side and a hole on the end of it. And here's our piece that goes to our car, and it's our hose. It's a rubber hose connection. And we actually place it on the back of the caliper, and then we put our screw through it. Now it needs 2 copper washers. Now for me, if it keeps the copper washer on it like it has on this side, I leave it. However, as you can tell, there's no copper washer on this side. There's none on our new caliper. So when we put the bolt through, it'll have its old copper washer, put a new copper washer on there, and then we'll reattach it to the caliper, and we'll put this connection nice and tight after I pull the little red plug out. And this will only fit on the caliper one way. It's a square block, it's a machine fit, and it is a 7/6 size bolt. And I will put this on tight to squish that copper so it won't leak. Now that that's tight, the brake caliper's on, our wheel spins. Next thing we need to do is bleed the brake system, and in order to do that you need somebody to help brake the to pump the brake pedal. But what we're going to do now is actually drain the reservoir of any existing brake fluid so that all the new brake fluid we put in will be fresh and new. Now we've got the system bled and put a little rubber cap on top of our bleeder screw here. It's just a matter of having somebody pump the pedal 3 times. They hold their foot on the pedal, you open up the bleeder, it squirts out some air and fluid, then you close it, have them repump, and you can continue that process eventually till you get all the air out and hopefully any of the older brake fluid out. We're going to remount the tire back on the car. There we go. Remount the tire on the car. Put the other side tire on the car because we also bled that side. We're going to take it for a test drive, and that's how you roughly change a rotor and caliper in a 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix.